Ladies and gentlemen, there's a law that's been controlling your life from the moment you took your first breath. It decides your success, your happiness, your peace, your pain, everything. And most people go their entire lives never realizing it's running the show. It's not luck, it's not destiny, it's not chance, it's cause and effect. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take sends out a signal that shapes your reality. You're not a victim of your circumstances, you're the creator of them. And the moment you understand this law, you'll never look at your life the same way again. And ladies and gentlemen, everything in your life, every success, every failure, every moment of joy, and every ounce of pain can be traced back to one universal law. It's not luck, it's not circumstance, and it's not fate. It's the law of cause and effect. The law that says whatever you put out into the world through your thoughts, emotions, and actions must, without exception, come back to you. You are not a victim of your life. You are the architect of it. The results you have right now are not accidents. They are reflections of the causes you've been creating day in, day out, often unconsciously. And think about that for a second. Every thought is a seed. Every decision, no matter how small, plants that seed in the soil of your future. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, you will harvest a life filled with hesitation, procrastination, and regret. But if you plant seeds of courage, faith, and relentless action, you'll harvest results that once seemed impossible. The universe doesn't play favorites. It doesn't care who you are, where you come from, or what your story has been. It simply mirrors what you consistently put into it. And so many people look around and blame their circumstances. They point fingers at the economy, their past, their parents, their relationships, or their lack of opportunity. But the truth is, the law of cause and effect doesn't bend for excuses. You can't keep producing the same causes and expect a different effect. You can't keep thinking small, acting small, and living small and expect a big life. If you want to change the effect, you must first change the cause. And the cause is your state of being. It's how you think, how you feel, and what you choose to do every single day. Most people live in reaction. They let life dictate their emotions. They let the outside world control the inside world. But when you live by this universal law consciously, you begin to flip that script. You realize that your inner world creates your outer world, that your thoughts are not random. They are commands to your subconscious. And your subconscious, like a loyal servant, will always find a way to make your dominant thoughts your reality. And if you believe you're not enough, your mind will find evidence to prove it. It will sabotage opportunities, attract toxic people, and keep you small because it must stay consistent with your internal belief. But if you start to believe that you are powerful, capable, and deserving, everything begins to shift. The universe reorganizes itself around your belief system. People, opportunities, and resources start aligning with your new energy. That's not magic. That's cause and effect in motion. And your life is a mirror. Whatever you are experiencing right now is a reflection of who you are being. If you're tired of your results, don't attack the mirror. Change what it's reflecting. Change your energy, your focus, your habits, your expectations. When you shift those, everything outside of you has to respond because the law is universal. It doesn't fail, it doesn't rest, and it never skips anyone. And most people want better results, but they don't want to change the call. See, they want success, but they keep planting seeds of doubt. They want love, but they keep radiating fear. They want abundance, but they keep operating from scarcity. You can't attract something you don't embody. You can't live in fear and expect freedom. You can't live in hesitation and expect momentum. Life gives you not what you want, but what you are. And so the question becomes, who are you being? What energy are you putting out into the world when no one's watching? Because that's the real cause. Not what you say you want, but what you actually believe and live. When you take full ownership of that, everything changes. You stop waiting for life to happen to you, and you start creating life through you. You become the cause instead of the effect. And if you want to change your financial situation, you must first change how you think and feel about money. If you see it as scarce, it will flee from you. If you treat it with fear, it will avoid you. But if you see money as a reflection of value, service, and growth, it will flow to you as a natural result of who you've become. The same law applies to relationships, health, business, everything. What you project is what you attract. What you tolerate is what you'll continue to experience. What you focus on expands. And that's why focus is everything. Where your focus goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, your results grow. Most people spend their lives focusing on what they don't want, and then they're surprised when that's exactly what keeps showing up. You say, I don't want to be broke, and your mind hears broke. You say, I don't want to be lonely, and your subconscious hears lonely. The universe doesn't respond to don't, it responds to direction. So stop focusing on what you fear and start focusing on what you intend to create. And every moment of your life, you are sending out signals through your emotions, your thoughts, your energy. And those signals attract their match. You can't send out frustration and attract peace. You can't live in resentment and attract gratitude. The vibration you carry determines the experiences you draw in. That's why awareness is your superpower. The moment you become aware of what you're broadcasting, you reclaim your ability to change it. And you can start right now. Choose to take responsibility for every outcome in your life, even the ones that hurt. That doesn't mean you're to blame. It means you're in power. Because the moment you own the cause, you can create a new effect. Every challenge you've ever faced has been training you for the next level of your life. Every setback has been a setup. Every failure, a feedback loop showing you what needs to shift in the cause so you can create a different result. And there's no mystery to success. It's not luck, it's law. Successful people are not lucky, they're intentional. They've learned to align their thoughts, emotions, and actions with the outcomes they desire. They've learned to act from vision, not from circumstance. They understand that the same law that governs gravity governs success. If you drop an apple, it falls. If you plant consistent effort aligned with belief and purpose, results will come. It's inevitable. And so if you want to transform your life, start by becoming conscious of your causes. Ask yourself, what am I thinking every day? What am I feeling? What am I doing? What am I tolerating? Because those are the levers that shape your destiny. You can't fake your frequency. The universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to vibration. It's not what you say you want. It's what you consistently feel and act upon that dictates your reality. And if you want extraordinary results, you must raise your standard for what you put into the world. Don't just wish, decide. Don't just dream, act. Don't just hope, align. When your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors operate in harmony, you become a magnet for everything you've ever desired. Edit, because you are no longer fighting the law, you're flowing with it. And when you flow with it, life opens up in ways that will leave you in awe. And the law of cause and effect is not here to punish or reward you. It's here to empower you. It's the greatest gift you've ever been given, the power to shape your destiny. Every thought, every feeling, every action is a vote for the future you're creating. So choose your causes wisely, because they are creating your tomorrows. You are the cause. Your life is the effect. And the moment you truly understand that, your entire reality begins to shift. You stop waiting for permission to live the life you want because you finally see that you've had the power all along. You start realizing that the universe has never been against you. It's been responding to you. It's been echoing your dominant energy, your repeated thoughts, your consistent patterns. And when that awareness sinks in, something powerful happens. You stop reacting and you start creating with purpose. And you begin to notice how every single area of your life is connected. Your health, your relationships, your finances, your happiness, they're all effects of the same internal causes. You can't compartmentalize your energy. You can't be negative in one area and expect abundance in another. You can't complain about your job and expect to thrive in your business. You can't criticize others and expect love to flow freely toward you. Energy doesn't separate. It multiplies. Whatever vibration dominates your heart and mind bleeds into every corner of your life. And so if you want transformation, you must start from within. You must take inventory of your inner world and ask yourself, what am I really broadcasting to life? Because life listens. It listens when you're grateful or when you're bitter. It listens when you're hopeful or when you're afraid. And it mirrors it all back to you with perfect accuracy. That's not a punishment. It's feedback. It's life saying, here's the reflection of your current frequency. And if you don't like it, adjust the cause. And that adjustment begins with awareness. Most people never slow down long enough to recognize the patterns that run them. They wake up, go through their routines, react to the same triggers, and call it a day. But when you pause, when you get still and observe your own mind, you start to see the invisible strings that have been pulling your behavior. You see the old stories, the fears, the beliefs that have been dictating your choices. And in that moment of awareness, you reclaim your freedom. You can't change what you refuse to face, but once you face it, it loses its grip on you. And you begin to choose consciously. You start asking yourself, what cause am I creating right now? Because every thought is a cause. Every emotion is a cause. Every action is a cause. Every moment is a choice point between creating a life that fulfills you or one that drains you. When you realize that, you stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. And think about how powerful that is. You could be in the most difficult chapter of your life right now, broke, heartbroken, uncertain, and yet you still have full control over what you create next. The external world may feel chaotic, but the internal cause is always yours to command. That's why two people can face the same problem and create completely different outcomes. It's not the event that determines their destiny. It's the meaning they attach to it and the state they operate from. One person lets it break them. Another uses it to build their strength. The cause is not the circumstance, it's the interpretation. And that's the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise. The ones who rise know that every experience, good or bad, carries a seed of growth. They refuse to waste pain. They understand that even setbacks are part of the cause and effect chain that's moving them toward their ultimate vision. They use disappointment as fuel. They turn rejection into redirection. They refuse to let temporary circumstances define permanent potential. And because once you know this law, you start to see life differently. You start noticing patterns everywhere. You see that success leaves clues, and so does failure. You notice that the people who thrive all share one thing in common. They take absolute responsibility for their causes. They don't wait for motivation. They create it. They don't wait for confidence. They build it. They don't wait for opportunity. They attract it through their preparation and energy. And that's exactly what you can do. You can become intentional about your vibration, your focus, and your actions. You can wake up each morning and decide, today, I am the cause of abundance. Today, I am the cause of love. Today, I am the cause of progress. And then align your behavior with that decision. Because intention without action is just illusion. The law doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you do repeatedly with conviction. And when you start moving from that place of alignment, something magical happens. You begin to notice synchronicities, doors opening, people showing up, opportunities appearing just when you need them. That's not coincidence. That's the law responding to a consistent cause. Your outer world starts to catch up to the new story you've been telling yourself. You no longer chase success. It's drawn to you because you've become the kind of person who naturally attracts it. But let's be honest, this shift doesn't happen overnight. You've spent years conditioning your mind with certain beliefs, fears, and habits. It takes awareness, consistency, and emotional discipline to rewrite those patterns. You'll fall back at times. You'll slip into old ways of thinking. That's normal. But the key is to notice it faster and correct it sooner. The faster you shift from fear to faith, from doubt to action, from frustration to gratitude, the faster your external results transform. And that's why your emotional state is everything. Your state determines your decisions, and your decisions determine your destiny. When you're in a state of gratitude, you think differently, you act differently, you radiate confidence and openness, and the world reflects that back. But when you're in a state of fear or frustration, you close off possibilities, you can't see solutions, you repel opportunities. That's the power of state. It's the cause behind every effect you experience. And so master your state. Train yourself to shift in seconds. Learn how to breathe, move, and focus in ways that put you back in power, because you can't create an extraordinary life from a disempowered state. You can't manifest abundance while vibrating scarcity. Your inner alignment must match your outer goals. When it does, you become unstoppable. And you see, this law is not just about thought. It's about integration. You can't just think positive and expect miracles. You must become positive in your actions, in your energy, in your habits. You must live in congruence with the reality you want. If you want success, act like someone who deserves it. If you want love, treat others with the warmth and compassion that love requires. If you want freedom, make decisions that align with that freedom. The effect always mirrors the cause. And every time you choose growth over comfort, you reinforce a cause that leads to greatness. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you strengthen your future. Every time you choose courage over fear, you shift the entire trajectory of your life, because each decision compounds. Each act of alignment multiplies its impact over time. What you repeatedly do becomes who you are, and who you are becomes the cause behind everything you experience. And that's why it's never too late to change. You can rewrite your story starting right now by changing the energy you're putting out into the world. You can decide that the old patterns stop here. You can decide that from this moment on, every thought, every emotion, every action will serve the highest vision of your life. That single decision can alter the entire chain of cause and effect in your reality. And when you do that, when you commit fully, you'll notice life meeting you halfway. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time more often. You'll attract people who align with your growth. You'll feel momentum building in ways that used to feel impossible, because you're no longer working against the law, you're working with it. You become the conscious creator of your world instead of a passive observer. And every time you look in the mirror, remind yourself, I am the cause, not in arrogance, but in empowerment. You are the cause of your happiness, your peace, your success. And that realization gives you infinite freedom, because it means nothing is outside your control. The moment you shift the cause, the effect must follow. That's not philosophy, that's reality. And so the real question is, what kind of causes are you going to plant from this day forward? Because the seeds you plant now will grow into the life you live tomorrow. Every word you speak, every thought you think, every choice you make, it's all shaping the future that's racing towards you. You hold the pen, you write the script, you are the cause, and life without fail will deliver the effect. And then once that truth becomes part of you, something extraordinary awakens. You begin to sense the quiet power in every single moment. You start to realize that life is not happening later, it's happening now, and that every now is another chance to create a new cause. You see, most people underestimate the power of a single choice. They think transformation happens through massive leaps, through grand moments of luck or breakthrough. But it's not the giant decisions that shape your destiny. It's the thousands of small ones you make every single day. The little habits, the quiet thoughts, the subtle emotions you entertain. Those are the invisible causes that shape everything. And it's how you respond when no one's watching. It's what you choose to believe when doubt whispers in your ear. It's the energy you carry when you walk into a room, the tone you use when you speak to someone, the thoughts you entertain right before you fall asleep. Those tiny moments seem insignificant, but over time, they compound. They build momentum. They create ripples that turn into waves. Every time you choose courage over fear, kindness over judgment, discipline over distraction, you're not just changing your day, you're rewriting the pattern of your life. And the beauty of this law is that it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter where you started, what mistakes you've made, or how long you felt stuck. The instant you choose a new cause, you initiate a new effect. You could have spent years living small, but the moment you choose to raise your standards, to think differently, to act differently, the direction of your life begins to shift. It's like turning a massive ship. It doesn't happen in one instant, but the moment the wheel moves, the course is forever changed. And so when you wake up tomorrow morning, don't underestimate that first thought. Don't underestimate that first action. Set your tone for the day with intention, because how you start influences how you finish. Wake up and decide, today I will create causes of strength, focus, and gratitude. Say it and feel it until it becomes your new normal. Because that vibration will shape how you handle challenges, how you connect with others, and how you interpret the world. And the mind loves to complicate things, but life runs on simple principles. If you plant apple seeds, you get apples. If you plant weeds, you get weeds. And yet people plant seeds of frustration, jealousy, and fear, then wonder why their garden looks chaotic. You can't plant one kind of seed and expect another harvest. You can't speak negativity into your life and expect joy to bloom. Every word, every thought, every emotional pattern is a seed. So plant consciously and understand this. Your causes don't just affect you. They ripple outward. When you choose to operate at a higher vibration, you lift others just by being in their presence. You become a walking reminder of what's possible. Your calm becomes contagious. Your passion ignites others. Your discipline inspires people to rise with you. That's how powerful you are. The energy you project has the potential to transform everyone around you. You are constantly influencing the world in ways you can't even see. And that's why it's so important to guard your energy like treasure. Protect what you feed your mind. Protect who you spend time with. Protect what you tolerate. Because your environment can reinforce your causes or sabotage them. If you surround yourself with negativity, you'll find it harder to maintain a state of growth and gratitude. But if you surround yourself with people who challenge you, who believe in possibility, who live with vision, you'll rise naturally. Energy is contagious, and your surroundings are shaping your internal causes every single day. And you have to be deliberate about what you allow to influence you, because every influence becomes part of your vibration. Every conversation, every song, every piece of content you consume is programming your subconscious. If you want to live an extraordinary life, you must create extraordinary inputs. Fill your mind with ideas that stretch it, with words that empower it, with images that remind you of who you are becoming. Because your mind is always listening. It's taking orders from your focus. And then when you feed it the right input, your actions follow. You begin to show up differently. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop doubting your worth. You start showing up as someone who expects great things, not out of arrogance, but because you finally understand the law. You finally see that every effort you put out returns multiplied. You don't question whether it's working. You know it is. You trust the process because you understand the principle. And there will be moments, though, where it feels like nothing is happening. You'll plant seeds and stare at the soil, wondering if anything's growing. That's where most people give up. They abandon their causes before the effects have time to manifest. But the law is not impatient. It works in its own rhythm. And your role is to stay consistent long enough for the results to appear. Don't dig up your seeds out of doubt. Water them with faith. Keep nurturing the vision even when there's no visible progress, because unseen forces are already aligning to bring your results to life. And you've got to hold the vision when no one else does. You've got to believe in the harvest before it arrives. You've got to live from the end result even when you can't see it yet. That's the mark of a conscious creator. You stop letting the absence of evidence convince you that nothing's happening. You trust that the energy you're putting out must return. You understand that cause and effect doesn't always work on your timeline, but it always works. And that's why patience is power. When you combine patience with persistence, you become unstoppable. Because you're no longer attached to the outcome. You're committed to the process. You know that every act of faith, every small action, every moment of discipline is compounding behind the scenes. It's like gravity. It doesn't announce itself, but it's always working. And when the effects finally appear, when your hard work starts to manifest, you'll realize it wasn't a miracle. It was as inevitable. You'll look back and see that every moment of doubt, every choice to persist, every cause you created built the foundation for the life you're living. You'll see how the universe wasn't withholding anything. It was preparing you for it, because the effect is always a match to the level of energy and growth you've sustained. And so don't just chase results. Chase mastery of the cause. Master your focus, your emotions, your actions. Master the art of alignment, of being the kind of person who naturally attracts the outcomes they desire. Because once you master yourself, you master life. Everything outside of you becomes a reflection of your internal evolution. And as you grow, you'll begin to notice how much lighter life feels. Not because it's easier, but because you're stronger. You stop taking things personally. You stop fighting reality. You start moving with the flow of life instead of resisting it. You start seeing challenges as teachers, not obstacles. You begin to appreciate that every situation is an opportunity to create a new cause, to respond differently, to grow deeper, to expand beyond old limitations. And when you understand this law deeply, fear starts to fade, because fear thrives on the illusion of loss and uncertainty. But if you know that every cause must produce an effect, you also know that no effort is ever wasted. Every act of love returns to you. Every risk taken in faith returns in growth. Every challenge faced with courage multiplies your strength. Nothing is random. Nothing is lost. Everything counts. And in that realization brings peace. You stop rushing, comparing, doubting. You start living deliberately. You begin to align your days with purpose. You walk through life knowing that you are not at the mercy of chance. You are a deliberate creator working with the most reliable law in existence. You start to treat your thoughts with reverence, your words with care, your time with intention, because you finally understand how sacred they are. They are the building blocks of your reality. And every moment, you are sculpting your future with invisible hands, your mind, your energy, your emotions, your choices. Whether you realize it or not, you're always creating. The question is, are you creating consciously or unconsciously? Are you living by design or by default? Because if you're not choosing your causes, you're still producing them through worry, through hesitation, through fear, and those too will return to you as effects. And that's why awareness is your greatest gift. When you become aware, you stop drifting and start directing. You stop reacting and start responding. You start to see that you've always had the pen in your hand, that every chapter of your life was written by your thoughts and your decisions. And now, with this understanding, you can write the next one intentionally, with power, clarity, and purpose. And you begin to realize that you were never powerless. You were never a victim of life. You were the author of it. The law has been working all along, faithfully reflecting your energy back to you. And now that you know this truth, you have the privilege, the responsibility, and the power to create something extraordinary. Because every cause you create today will become the reality you live tomorrow. And once you awaken to that truth, you can never go back to living unconsciously. You begin to see through the illusions that used to hold you. You stop chasing quick fixes and start building real foundations. You stop waiting for someone to save you, because you finally realize that you are the one you've been waiting for. You see, the law of cause and effect isn't just about changing what you do. It's about evolving who you are. Because when you become more, you naturally attract more. When your energy rises, your environment reorganizes itself to match that frequency. And everything starts to align with your new identity. The people who no longer resonate with your vibration will drift away. And that's not loss. That's alignment. New opportunities will begin to show up that once felt out of reach, and that's not coincidence, that's resonance. life begins to mirror back the energy of who you've become. And this is when most people feel something shift deep inside them. They realize that the real work is internal. The external world is just the echo. And you start to understand that your energy introduces you before you speak. It walks into the room before your words do. It determines how people respond to you, how opportunities flow to you, how life feels when you wake up every morning. That energy is your greatest currency. And you get to decide moment by moment whether you invested in fear or in faith, in resentment or in gratitude, in resistance or in growth. The law of cause and effect is always cashing in on what you invest. And that's why self-awareness is such a powerful tool, because without it, you're creating unconsciously. You might think you're aiming for success, but if your thoughts are drenched in fear and doubt, your causes are misaligned. You might say you want abundance, but if your energy screams scarcity, the universe has no choice but to reflect that back. It's not punishing you, it's obeying you. The outer world doesn't contradict your inner world. It mirrors it faithfully. And that's why transformation is never just about doing more. It's about more, being present, being intentional, being emotionally aware. Because you can't outrun your vibration. You can't act your way out of the energy you're radiating. The law doesn't respond to effort alone. It responds to the frequency behind that effort. Two people can take the same action and get completely different results, not because one worked harder, but because one acted from alignment and the other acted from desperation. And you've probably felt that before, the difference between chasing something and attracting it. See, when you're chasing, you're saying to the universe, I don't have it yet. You're moving from lack. But when you're aligned, when you're in flow, you move from power. You know it's already yours in essence, and your actions are just the natural expression of that certainty. The energy of lack pushes things away. The energy of abundance pulls them closer. And that's what makes this law so profound. It's not about effort. It's about alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are unified toward a single vision, the universe has no choice but to deliver the effect. It's inevitable. But most people sabotage themselves because their thoughts say one thing, their emotions feel another, and their actions do something else. They're sending mixed signals into the universe, and mixed signals produce mixed results. And so the key is congruence, living in harmony with what you want. If you desire peace, you must stop entertaining chaos. If you desire freedom, you must release control. If you desire love, you must embody compassion. Because the law responds not to what you say, but to what you are. You don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you believe in your bones. And then belief isn't a thought, it's a state. It's an energy that says, this is who I am. It's unwavering, it's grounded, it's certain. When you step into that level of belief, everything starts to accelerate. You stop trying to make things happen and you start allowing them to unfold. You're not waiting anymore. You're becoming, and becoming is the ultimate cause. And you can feel it when you're in that space, when your mind, body, and soul are all speaking the same language. Your energy feels electric. You wake up with clarity. You feel pulled by vision instead of pushed by fear. You stop forcing outcomes and start co-creating them. That's the sweet spot where the law of cause and effect starts working in overdrive for you, because you're not fighting it. You're flowing with it. But make no mistake, staying in that alignment takes discipline. The world will constantly try to pull you out of it. People will project their fears onto you. Circumstances will test your belief. Doubt will whisper when progress seems slow. That's when you have to remind yourself, every cause compounds. Every action adds up. Every time you choose faith over fear, even in silence, you're strengthening your vibration. You're reinforcing your direction. You're shaping the momentum of your life. And this is why emotional mastery matters so much, because life will test you, not to break you, but to reveal how much control you truly have over your inner world. You can't always control the effects that come your way immediately, but you can always control how you respond to them. And your response becomes the new cause. So even in moments of chaos, you have the power to create order from within. That's real mastery, when you no longer need the world to be perfect for you to stay centered. And think about how powerful that is. When everyone else reacts, you remain grounded. When everyone else complains, you stay grateful. When everyone else hesitates, you move forward. That's what separates the few who lead their lives from the many who are led by life. They understand the law so deeply that they don't waste energy fighting what is. They simply create what will be. And as you continue walking this path, you start to see that the law doesn't just shape your results, it shapes your character. Because every choice you make to take responsibility strengthens your integrity. Every moment you choose faith builds your resilience. Every act of persistence expands your capacity to receive. The more you align with this principle, the more you evolve as a human being, and eventually your results become a reflection of who you've become, not just what you've done, and you stop needing validation because your sense of worth is no longer tied to outcomes. You stop fearing failure because you know that every setback is just another cause in disguise, one that will eventually produce a greater effect. You stop doubting your path because you finally trust the process. You understand that nothing is wasted. Every experience, every lesson, every challenge is refining your frequency. And that's when life begins to feel like a dance instead of a battle. You move with the rhythm of cause and effect instead of against it. You become aware that your emotions are the music and your thoughts are the choreography. And when they're in harmony, the dance feels effortless. But when they're out of sync, you stumble. And even then, the law doesn't judge you. It simply reflects the current rhythm you're playing. And that awareness allows you to correct the beat and step back into flow. And this is where true power lies, in emotional awareness, in conscious creation, in mastering the invisible forces that shape visible results. Because once you master that, you're no longer reactive, you're proactive. You don't wait for conditions to be right, you create the conditions. You don't wait for opportunities, you generate them. You don't wait for change, you become the change. And the more you live from that space, the more effortless success feels. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop striving and start aligning. You stop trying to predict the future and start designing it. That's when everything begins to connect. The timing, the people, the opportunities, the breakthroughs. And it's not because life suddenly got easier. It's because you finally started operating by the rules that govern it. And so when you look around and see the effects in your life, don't get discouraged. See them as a mirror. If you want to change the reflection, change the image you project, you can't beg the mirror to smile. You have to smile first. The world doesn't give you what you demand. It gives you what you demonstrate.